Good morning, everybody. Friday morning. Came to the end of the week. I know we're in July. I'm still not any further forward than knowing what date it is. Considering the amount of rain that we've had here through the night, the waterfall is just a trickle. Good morning, cousin Julie. Hope you're well. Good morning, everybody. Beautiful up here. Look at that. Big waterfall. So peaceful. So lucky. Right, here we go. Good morning, everyone. Hope you're well. Just give me a second. My watch was buzzing its brains out there. So, good morning. Friday. We've got to the end of the week. And I have managed to get to vlog. I think I uploaded it yesterday. This is either 101. So I got past 100. Got to 101. And I think today's 102 or thereabouts, which I am quite proud of. I think that's a good achievement for lockdown and beginning to come out of lockdown. So good morning, everyone. I hope you're well. So this morning I called the vlog this morning Learning to Live in the Liminal. And my buddy Lewis just messaged me 2 minutes before I was going to go live there. And he said, "Oh, what's the vlog on this morning?" And I said, "Living in the Liminal." And then as I wrote that message to him, I went, "Oh, I've just changed it. It's called Living in the Liminal." He went, "What does that mean?" I went, "Go Google it." He went, "I'm doing that now." And I've just had a message in from him. Morning, Gordon. I'll show you the top waterfall. I'm doing the walk a little bit in reverse this morning. Morning, Mr. MacArthur. Right, so how did this morning come about in my mind, giving you an insight into how the inside of my head works. But I've been thinking a lot since the weekend that we were away hiking about what's goals versus intentions. I've been thinking a lot about addiction again. That seems to be the thing I think a lot about, and pretty much how addicted I am to believing that this reality that I see is real or not real. And so learning to live in the liminal, those liminal spaces, those transcendent spaces between one point in space and time and another, or indeed free of time, space and matter completely. Now, one of the insights that I gained, I've never really been one for goal setting. Well, let's set our goals. You know, where do you want to be in a year? Where do you want to be next year? And that's somewhere in the future. So one of the flaws, I think, certainly one of my flaws, one of my character flaws was living in the past, or being identified with who I was in the past, or what I was in the past, as opposed to what I am in the present moment. Morning, Lynn. Good morning. Hope you're well. So, and when we were hiking, right? Certainly when we were hiking, and this wasn't so true early on in the hike, but on the last 27 miles, which is from a place called Glencoe, King's House, up and over to Fort William, part of the hike is up a big massive hill called Devil's Staircase, and then you come down into Kinlochleven. So if anybody knows that hike, it's hilarious because you can see Kinlochleven and it looks as if it's just there. It looks as if I could be there in 20 minutes. 2 hours later, you're still hiking along, right, and you're nowhere near it. And it started, this is where my head went, thinking about goals versus intentions. Now, when you leave Kinlochleven, again, you climb a big massive hill to get out of Kinlochleven. And then there's the old military road, which you could probably, I'm guessing, I guesstimate, you can see about 5 miles, maybe 6 miles into the distance, right? And when you look, after you've just, so let's just say you've done 15 miles, right? You've been hiking for 15 miles, your boots are wet, your feet are sore, you're cranky, you're tired and you're exhausted, and you're looking away into the distance and you think, I'm never going to get there, right? So then the mind starts to break it down into smaller chunks. Well, if I can get to that corner or over the brow of that hill, or I can get to that building, or the mind starts to make it into more manageable chunks. So what I've learned and what I'm adapting into my life from the work that I do personally and working with other people is around about the best way that I found to achieve these large distance miles, these ultra marathon type miles, if you like, is not to look 6 miles ahead of myself, not to look away into the future, but in actual fact just to look at my eyes gaze in front of me, which is always about 6 feet. See, as long as I'm only looking 6 feet in front of me and I never look up to see the end goal or the finish line or whatever, I manage so much better. And one of the conversations that the majority of the people that were on the hike at the weekend come up with was, why is it when we set an intention to, say for an example, I'm going to go out and run 10k, right? So I say, right, I program my Garmin watch, 10k, boom, get it in. I get to about 8k, and I start to get, fed up, Maudry, I want to go home, I'm finished now, right? And we start to do that. Similarly, if I turn around and say I'm going to run a 12k, I'll get to 10k and I'll start to think I've had enough. And one of the guys, yesterday I was out having a coffee with, turned it into another angle, which is completely true as well. Why is it if you need the toilet, right, you're in the car and you're on your way home and you need the toilet, you're able to hold it in until you get about half a mile from the house, and then it's excruciating. So if we break that down, how can we translate that information to be helpful for people when we're working with our goals and intentions, or how we're going to get to where it is that we want to get to? So rather than living in the future or living in the past, and as I said, I did a vlog yesterday about, am I an addict, am I not an addict, I've been around the fellowship meetings for 27 years. The 12-step process, in my opinion, is absolutely phenomenal, right? The process itself is absolutely phenomenal. But I can absolutely, 100%, I could stake my wages on it, right? That I walk into a meeting and I could see the top 3 table and one of them's doing a share. I can absolutely guarantee you, word perfect. Now, I've not been in a fellowship meeting for, I don't know, what month are we on? July? I've not been in a meeting for probably 3 months, a real visual meeting, well, because there's been lockdown, right? But I can absolutely guarantee you that word perfect, that person will be relating the exact same story, word perfect, about how they're drinking, took them into the house one night and they put the toast on and the chip pan on and they set fire to the kitchen and nearly killed themselves and their family, and that was the da-da-da-da-da, right? How long ago was that? 25 years ago. Does that mean that they're living in the present, or does that mean that they're living in the past? Now, the 12-step process is absolutely phenomenal. And yes, we have to talk a little bit about our experience. But if we're still reliving that experience every Tuesday night at our meeting in Easterhouse, right, and we're going over the same old thing and the same old thing and the same old thing, are we actually living in the present and we're doing what they say they do, which is one day at a time? But we're always living in the past to remember the damage that we did. We remember the destruction of our alcoholism or our drug addiction. But you'll never get to be free unless you can come in here and tell your war stories about the past, right? You're never going to be in the present, and you're certainly never going to create a new and expansive future. because you're building a new and expansive future based out of fear, which is limited and constrictive, because every moment that you take, and you're counting the days. That's me, 5,011 days sober, by the way. So really I'm in a prison of time, and I'm caught within the linear space of two-dimensional time, which keeps me stuck in a programme of the past, which never allows me to be in the present, which is continually counting down like an egg timer the amount of time that I've been sober. How helpful is that? Well, it's good. Yes, that's okay if it keeps you sober. But are you actually fully living? Are you actually fully experiencing the here and now? And sometimes what we've got to do is trust ourselves enough to go beyond the constructs of our mind and go beyond time, space and matter and liminal spaces, and start to learn how to frequent those liminal spaces. Now, as I said, one of the ways for me in the past to allow myself to be free of the constructs of my mind would be riding a motorcycle. Pretty quick. That was addictive in itself, which I've came to realise. And I have amended those behaviours because I value my life more than getting into a corner at 130 mile an hour. But when I started doing quantitative EEGs, one of the chaps that were doing work with me on my brain and neurofeedback was that it was in the Dominican Republic where he chose to live. And what I would do is I would go out and surf and get that stoked feeling, get that same feeling that you would get from riding a motorcycle, curving, or which I get from hiking, or which I get from meditating, or which I get from being in cold water exposure. There are many ways in which you can free your mind of the constructs and tightness of this two-dimensional linear time that we are trapped in, and where our trauma, and we are reliving that, and how that's keeping us hooked into the past, which means we are not a program of our present reality. It means that we're a construct of the past that we're bringing into our present reality, which means every step that we move forward with is tainted with the past, right? So learning to live in the liminal, learning to live and inhabit a space which is out with the constructs of your mind is what I have came to believe is absolutely crucial for healing, for moving forward, and for living your life to the full, rather than living your life with I am an addict, I have ADHD, I have dyslexia, I am traumatised, I am the product of an environment which happened to me 35 or 40 years ago. Now, the mind wants to continually go back to these old programs and these old memories because there's a biochemical connection to it. There's a drug. So alcoholism. Alcohol was a problem. Alcohol was a problem, and you would go back. You went into the house one night after the pub completely steaming. You put the toaster on and left the toast in. You left the chip pan on. Nearly burnt the kitchen down. Nearly killed the kids. And every Thursday night when you go to your meeting, you're just continually telling that story. Your tape's in a loop of telling that story. Well, see the fear that you've got around about that experience, which is chemicals, which is cortisol, adrenaline, etc, etc, etc. Every time you tell that story, you're igniting, you're filling the gun, you're filling the spoon, you're heating the spoon, you're filling the needle, and you're shooting it into your arm. You're shooting the fear, you're shooting the experience, you're shooting the tightness. You're also shooting the past into the present moment, which means when you're standing up there sharing to your group of folk at your fellowship meeting, what you're doing is you're not in the present moment. Yet they tell you one day at a time. Totally agree with that. But that one day at a time has to be taken, our footsteps, and our footprint that we make free of the constructs of the past, because then we're not free to think. What we're only doing is remembering. And there's a massive difference between thinking and remembering when we want to create a new reality based of love over fear. Now, the mind wants to go back to these older experiences. The mind wants to go back to these debilitating programs. The mind wants to look at these old feedback loops. Why? Because there's a chemical association to them. Right? Every time you have a thought, the biochemical network within our mind releases chemicals, hormones, cortisol, adrenaline, But when you're given love, you're given freedom, and you're in a space which is in liminal space, which is out of time, space and matter, and you're completely free. And I call that God. So when I'm hiking, and like everything I do, because I'm an extremist, I don't disappear very quickly. Like I can go and do this 7 or 8 miles. I'll get little moments where I drift off and have some creative thoughts or creative thinking, and I enter a sort of slightly creative space. But it's only after I get to sort of mile 15, mile 17 when I'm out walking that I'm not here, right? I have managed to go beyond. Again, I don't like that word beyond because I don't think there is a below or above. I think it's just all here horizontally happening. But for the purposes to keep it simple, when you start to go beyond the mind and you start to be able to go in and inhabit this liminal space, that's where you can have effective programs. Because the way that we look at the problem, like when we were hiking, and those that were with me will agree because we did an experiment around it, the pain that we were feeling in our legs, the pain that we were feeling in our feet, the suffering. And I know it's very Old Testament, the only way to the Lord is through suffering, and when you can land within your suffering, it's almost like you're transcended from it, and you get to watch the experience. You get to watch, for an example, for me, one of the experiences was not getting picked up at school. I was expecting one of my parents to pick me up at school when I was a little guy, primary school in fact, and I was stood at the gate, and I remember all the kids going away, and it going from being bustly to medium to low to nothing. And that feeling of isolation, that feeling of deprivation, that feeling of fear, that feeling of I've been forgotten about, right? Now, normally, if I was talking about that experience within a therapeutic environment, I would be reliving the fear. I could feel the biochemical response to it. But when you're hiking and you're making the association between the pain that's in your leg and the suffering that you're feeling and the isolation, and all the other guys that are with you have left you, and you're walking through the moors on your own and you're feeling like a failure, and and you've got that going on, and then pop, all these memories start to come through, these memories start to come up. There's absolutely no chemical association to them. You're just watching them like you're watching them in a movie. And as they go past, they pop and they're relived. Now, as I think about that memory from the past now, my toes don't curl up. My body doesn't go all tight. I don't contract. My experience doesn't make my reality smaller and tighter. It's just, oh well, that's what happened. There was something going on. It wasn't that they forgot about me. It was like the tyre blew out in the car. That was difficult. There wasn't mobile phones back then. They weren't able to just give me a wee text and say we're running 10 minutes late, boyo. And it is what it is. It was what it was. And I can let that experience go and don't have to be hooked into a feeling of the past and the present. Right? So learning to inhabit these liminal spaces where you're free of the constructs of your not liminal but linear time, the time constructs of a sort of 2-stroke 3-dimensional reality, and allowing ourselves through sports such as snowboarding, surfing, hiking, any hobby that we can start to integrate into our life that allows us to go beyond our thinking, go beyond the entrapment and the prison of our mind, is helpful for healing. And when we get to that space, we allow ourselves to program our subconscious mind with new, happier and healthier routines. Wow, feels really different for me this morning because I'm going to tell you I cheated this morning. Because I did come up to the waterfall for you guys. I'm still going to go swimming, but I have what looks like could be the start of bloody sepsis on my heel because I've not given up since the weekend. And what I actually did was I drove up to about a mile away this morning, which was fantastic because I used to work in a wee place along here. I used to work up here called Gilchrist Plants, right, when I was about 14. I don't think I've been up here since I was probably about 20. Was that 27 years ago? And like everywhere, they've built a massive amount of houses and everything like that up there. It was a real trip coming back up past it. And then I drove up this lovely little road and this tree-lined drive, and it's just idyllic. So I've seen another place that I haven't seen for a while. And I brought the car and we walked down to the waterfall and we've walked back up. So I don't have the same program pattern of how I do these vlogs and managing my time the way that I did. So I've said a wee bit about that. If you're interested in that, look it up. What's a liminal space? It's a transcendent space between this world and the next world. It's a kind of space that we can inhabit without any programs of the past. I'm going to show you my car. I'm super proud of it. Look at that. That's the buggy for the new mobile. Super proud of that. I just look at that. It's a very expansive experience that I feel when I look at that. It's lovely to be behind something that makes you feel proud. There it is. There's my wee Doug. I'm proud of that as well. So that's some of the learnings that I've had from our weekend away, and we're getting geared up to go away on the 29th, 30th and 31st of July. We're doing the Great Glen Way. At the moment, there is no cost involved. You just have to pay for your own experience. And if anyone's local and can get the time off on the 29th, 30th and 31st, we've got some really experienced people. Are you jumping in? Go on then, buddy. We've got some really experienced people. Going with us, and experienced from all walks of life. You know, we've got teachers, we've got, you know, business people going, people that are working with their intentions, and they are committed to their programme. They're committed to their sobriety, they're committed to their journey. So if you can make the 29th, 30th and 31st, 26 miles a day, that would be Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday. Get some Colloidal silver. I know I need to get something, man. It looks awful. It looks absolutely terrible. Morning fella, slept in. We'll watch it later. Take it easy and we'll speak later on. Thanks, Des. Yeah, sorry I never called you yesterday. I was running about daft. Yeah, that's where we're at. If you feel that you're called to come and hike and experience those liminal spaces, and be also, you're not just coming for yourself. You're going to be coming to tell us what you thought worked well, what would work better. Because scouting about, unfortunately, because of COVID-19, has very much been put on hold. But we are definitely going to get one organised tour on the go this year. And but at the moment, the tours that we're doing are just for market research. And you come along, you tell us what worked well and what would work even better, so that we can provide the best possible experience and give you the best possible outcome in order for you to gravitate towards a new future. So that's where we're at. And I'm half an hour early for the water, but I'm going to go and toodle on down here. And look at where I live. It's awesome. Look at that little house. So nice. That's one thing I had been thinking about moving away from, Lanark, before COVID-19. And then COVID-19, because of lockdown, and I had a lot of time to just explore this beautiful countryside, I forgot how beautiful it was, and I've totally fell head over heels in love again. And that was another learning, that usually when I leave something, it's easier for me to leave it with anger. Yeah, it doesn't work for me, and this isn't working for me any longer, and I hate this place, it's crap. Right, great, that's validation. Let's shut the door on Lanark and move somewhere else. But in actual fact, I'm very grateful for where I live. It's stunning. You know, 45 minutes into Glasgow and 45 minutes into Edinburgh, and I live in the most beautiful part of the countryside there is. So I'm wishing you all a really cool day. Sharon Brawley, you'd love to come, but your knee won't allow it. Well, strap your knee up. Let's see what we can do to assist you in coming in that process. Anyway, listen, I'm just rambling away here. I hope that's been helpful. It's just some of my thoughts. I'm wishing you a really great day. Have a fantastic day. And you're nearly at the weekend. Enjoy your weekend. You take care. All the best.